morning to one and all, particularly Data Science Congress 2017 team. Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin my address with a very popular proverb. Knowledge is power. Many might wonder as to what is this proverb has to be with the Data Science Congress. Friends, wisdom and conventional knowledge are codified in the form of books in the ancient and medieval times. Books have dominated most part of the modern era also. In spite of IoT, books are not being replaced. Books contain information during the ancient and medieval times and even era in which we are all living. Information was, and it is still, basically knowledge-driven and experience-driven. So, people who are well-read are knowledgeable and they were perceived to be powerful. This hypothesis is still valid. Knowledge, experience, wisdom, etc. all have something very common. They all influence decision-making, and decisions are crucial for any setup. That is the reason, historically, power was centered around the knowledgeables or those appearing to be knowledgeables. Time has changed. These changes have been rapid. Nowadays, we all talk of data and the importance it enjoys in our decision making because data is the basic element of information and information is knowledge and knowledge is power. Therefore, data is the road to power. While people may say that IoT eventually will make people to lose their jobs, but that is not true. IoT, by using proper data, that improves the efficiency. So today to get anything and everything is efficiency and efficiency, which makes viability. That reminds me of a question most often asked by youngsters. What is the difference between knowledge and wisdom? Of course, there is another area, information. I always say, knowledge is always an asset. Information is always a burden. Wisdom, of course, it is required for applying. So many of the youngsters today, because of the mobile apps, they are kept on getting the information whatever it is pouring in, which is ending up in making many youngsters to waste their valuable time. Of course, both are independent, mutually exclusive and very important. You are aware of it, but for the purpose of constructing a logic to what I address, let me take a familiar example. Knowledge is knowing that tomato is a fruit biologically, and wisdom is not to put in fruit salad. Definitely, that has to be, one has to think. All the decision making in the past was on the basis of individuals, their experience, their intuition, their gut feeling, etc. The most of the last 70 years, our country, as an independent India, run based on their past experience, intuition, and their wisdom, whatever they thought at that particular point of time. But today is not like that. Institutional decision making was also centered around individuals who can take or suggest a better option from amongst the available choices. Here again, we have to understand the age-old pyramid structure management is already gone. Today we are on flat structure. While we are all, I think most of us must have read that world is flat. But world is flat, but each regional areas are different. While world is flat, management is flat. Managing an organization under flat structure, that means In our colloquial language, chaprasi to chairman can be aware of what is happening in any institution. So thereby, there won't be any delay in knowing various steps what is happening. So when the world around is simple, fair and straight in terms of the number, of course, number of variables affecting the decisions and their outcomes. Individuals never bothered about data analytics, etc. in the past. Now the world around is complex. Options and choices are not in just binaries in terms of a simple yes or no. They have become definitely complicated. The number of variables, that too uncontrollable variables, have become more. This has led us to depend more and more on data and data analytics. So much so that a branch of science called data science has come into existence. Ladies and gentlemen, I was reading somewhere that 5 exabytes, that is 1000 to the power of 6 bytes of information was created from the dawn of civilization and until 2003. And that much of information is now being created in every day. That is based on confirmed statistical information. While we can leave aside the exaggerated part of it, what we have to believe is that we are generating nothing but data. What is important is data is generated while it is consumed. I wish all the other things in this world also follow the same trend, but this is very unique. Hence, there is a need to handle data more systematically and more carefully now than in the past. It is a double-edged sword. Department of Science and Technology, Government of India has recently launched a new program called Interdisciplinary Cyber Physical System, ICPS, to foster and promote R&D in this emerging field of research. As you are all aware, cyber physical system is a mechanism controlled or monitored by computer-based algorithms, tightly integrated with the internet and its users. Though this program, DST intends to focus on data sciences, IoT, research and basic research on cyber security. Data and information are all pervasive. We are surrounded by data. It will not be unique if I say every move of a man is generating some data and that is useful somewhere. Structuring this data is, of course, required to make it useful. Raw data as such may not be readily useful. So the data transmission, the way things are happening, particularly majority of our data space is being wasted today. Whether a person is going for bath or taking lunch or dinner, these things are not required to be communicated in a large group. Big data offers solutions in terms of quality, integrity, storage and further analysis of such data, which may be useful on real-time, near real-time, short-term, medium-term and long-term basis. What we call ISML, immediate, short-term, medium-term, long-term. Big data and analytics offer tremendous untapped potential to drive big business outcomes. There is a lot of employment potential. This is where actually role, responsibility, accountability, authority can be defined and also can be analyzed if a proper parameters are fixed on a matrix basis. During the times when many people are talking of job losses in IT sector, big data can actually generate many jobs as long as we build capacities. The whole problem is there's a lack of capacity building in our country. While quote and unquote, I would like to say very clearly, there's a growth, whatever we have been reporting, undoubtedly there is a sluggishness about our employment growth, employment generation. Our growth is completely going on a stagnant employment generation, which has to be addressed. So, Government of India is offering financial support to research projects under Big Data Initiative, BDI. In my opinion, we are steadily moving ahead and we can move rapidly also. So last 2 decades probably, entire IoT is being looked as if it is data entry, whatever it is. So people kept on feeding data to the missions, which is probably the person who is feeding the data doesn't know what for it is being fed. Data science is a very interesting subject. Sometimes it is addictive. Every big corporate now uses data and MIS reports for internal monitoring and taking decisions. This is because of this only this dashboard has come into the popular usage. Business intelligence, predictive analytical, and prospective analytical are commonly used in big entities. Data scientists are increasingly getting employed. They are like strategists and clairvoyant force tellers. Like, particularly, as long as we build capacities to apply on education, healthcare, and agriculture in this country, that really revolutions and makes everyone's lives to improve their standard of living. Today, most of the healthcare system is dependent on data. The clinical interpretation dependence has come down to, I think, 3 to 4% in many areas. So 95 to 97% missions are throwing up the results. Based on that, if you go to Google, you can also get medicines if one is dare enough to have that. While having said so, there is something to learn from elders. So definitely there is everything Google cannot answer. So for the present generation, they should always focus on spending some time with the elders. While this data is definitely useful for our materialistic life to go on. Besides big data and data analytics, as part of R4, that is 4th generation industrial revolution, we are hearing about how machine learning, artificial learning, robotics, Internet of Things, cybersecurity are going to influence our lives. Ladies and gentlemen, those who deal with data analytics and risk management are aware that for every qualifying antecedents, we can predict certain outcomes. Many people are predicting job losses with the increasing use of these tools and techniques. That is only a myth according to me. That could be one side of the coin. The other side has a rosy picture as to how jobs can be created. Further, the saving and profits are bound to be plowed in and reinvested into the business enterprise that will also generate employment. So this is the area where this kind of organization should help to popularize and educate everyone. But there is a small catch here. We need to reorient our focus. We have to skill ourselves and we should be equipped to handle more complex jobs. The low-hanging fruits have now vanished from the scene. What we will have in future is those hanging up and above, and we should be skilled enough to harvest them. So here is, particularly in India, whether we agree or not, by design we are producing the defective product. That means we are producing, number of students are coming up with degree certificates, but they are not skilled enough. If a proper data analysis is put into use, the students, there won't be any need for spending further money for skilling them. We are using huge amount of money, time, and also wasting an youngster's additional time of couple of years. So that is another area which has to be addressed. A person who comes out of college with a degree certificate, At the maximum, one should go for an orientation program to go to a particular field, but not fundamental skills. Going by the detailed program shared with me, I understand that Data Science Congress envisages to bring India at the center stage for skills, competencies for all these data-driven branches. Definitely it's very good, and I wish and suggest them to spread pan-India. Every state, you must involve state governments to focus on this and then establish localized autonomous institutions to build the capacities. I must mention that in all these fields, skill gaps have to be identified and the gaps should be addressed with appropriate policy intervention. Industry academia connect has to be established with specific references to these gaps. So we all agree, Saraswati is the root cause for everything. So automatically wherever Saraswati comes, Lakshmi will be there always. So as long as you address it Saraswati, automatically things will fall in line. That is where cooperation and coordination from state governments are very important. They have to collaborate to develop capabilities, capacities and competencies, without which they can't generate value. This is very badly required to ensure that we don't miss this bus again and again. We have missed a bus in the past and we are seeing the adverse impact of it now. India can't afford to miss this bus. Because having said so, in 2008 we have said we are decoupled from the global financial crisis. At that point of time, probably it is right, but it cannot be forever. After all, we have been living in a village called global village. We cannot get completely decoupled. So whatever happens in America, if they sneeze, we are getting fever here. So Government of India's Skill India initiatives is aimed at increasing the competencies and average productivity. Almost all the flagship programs of Government of India, like Digital India, Digital Village, Smart Cities, are data intensive. They use data and they generate data that has commercial value. Data with commercial value open up opportunities for startups and entrepreneurs development. But we should be equipped to harness them. The majority of the data-based entrepreneurship programs we can run. All of us know that India is the IT capital of the world. With the largest pool of maths, computer sciences, and coding skills, India is certainly poised to leverage the advantage in these fields. But unfortunately, we are fully aware that we are the capital of IT, but we use very less. The rest of the world are making use of our IT capabilities and they are growing day by day. And their standard of lives are improved purely with the help of Indian minds. Whichever country we go, the back office is being managed, data is being produced by Indian brain. Having said that, friends, we need disruptive technologies. As we all know, they don't come in our way by accident. We have to plan, we have to design, whatever we want to do, let it take 100 years, doesn't matter, but let us make the blueprint and drive on a particular path what we want to achieve. We have to move forward with a strategy and in right direction. I am sure that this Data Science Congress will come out with a roadmap of how we can make India ready for these disruptive technologies in data science and data-driven fields. Government of India is the largest generator of data. However, I get amused at times to see that it does not consume as much as it should before taking policy decisions. Having realized that some corrective steps are being taken and core generic technologies, tools and algorithms are being employed widely in government of late. Friends, with these few words, I wish all the best to this Congress, its organizers, and all participants. I hope intended outcomes are realized after successful completion of this Congress after 3 days. Thank you and Jai Hind.